Hi everyone, Bonnie English here. Today I'm going to be looking at chain adjustment on the Bonneville T100 and the Bonneville T120. So how often do you need to check and adjust your chain? Well, it depends on how often you ride, but roughly every 6 to 12 months. It's really important though that you do this. Having a chain that is too tight or too loose can be catastrophic. So what tools do we need to do this job? Well, we need a tape measure, a 13mm and a 12mm spanner, a 12mm ratchet, we need a 5mm and a 6mm hex key, we need our torque wrench with a 27mm socket, preferably a set of calipers, and a soft faced mallet. Now we also need to think about safety, so a pair of rubber gloves and some glasses to protect your eyes, and a rubber mat so that when we remove the silencer we're protecting it so it's not sitting on the ground. Some people advocate doing the chain adjustment without taking the silencer off. However, to do it properly, do yourself a favour, get the silencer taken off. It only takes 10 minutes. So with the bike on the centre stand, I'm going to take my 5mm hex key and loosen the shroud. If you don't do this, you won't be able to get the silencer back on. Then you're going to loosen the clamp bolt with the 6mm hex key. So this is where the left-hand silencer differs from the right-hand side. On the left-hand side you have an extra bracket here which needs to be undone. So taking your 12mm ring spanner, you put that on the bolt at the back using the 12mm ratchet. You undo it. So once you've undone it, remove the nut and pull out the bolt. We need to remove the pillion foot peg, again using our 12mm ring spanner. So remove the nut and withdraw the foot peg. So with the foot peg removed, all we need to do is grab hold of the silencer, wiggle it backwards, and then while it's out you can give it a really good clean, and then don't forget to place it on a soft mat to keep it protected. So top tip, place the tools that you're using on the saddle because you're working on both sides of the bike. Now the right hand side is going to be exactly the same, removing the silencer, apart from the fact that you don't have that extra bracket. So the silencer has these rubber isolators here, so when you remove the silencer just make sure they're still in place. If they're not, make sure you replace them and in the correct order. The chains don't stretch evenly, so it's important to find the tightest point of the chain. So we're going to rotate the tyre and just feel the tension on the chain to find the tightest point. Now this one seems to feel pretty even throughout. So what we'll need to do is to measure how slack the chain is. It's critical to remember that we measure on the side stand and we adjust on the centre stand. So we measure the chain midway between the drive sprocket and the rear sprocket, which is on the Bonneville is around here. So place the tape measure on the ground at 90 degrees to the chain and with it locked in place. You're then going to push up the chain as high and as hard as you can. Then leaving the tape measure in place, let go of the chain and push down as hard as you can to take a reading. So in this case it's about 45mm. Chain tolerances are 20 to 30mm. So this chain is roughly 15mm slack. So with our bike on the centre stand, we'll do our chain adjustment using our 27mm socket. We're going to loosen the axle nut just a little bit, not too much, otherwise your wheel will become out of alignment. So next we'll grab the 12mm spanner and place it on the adjustment nut, and using our 13mm spanner on the locking nut, we'll loosen this off and then just finger loosen about 5mm along the thread. So remember, I had a 15mm slack on my chain, so with the adjustment nut here, one flat is equal to roughly 5mm of adjustment. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, which will tighten my chain by 15mm, and remember we need to repeat this exactly the same on the other side. So with the bike back on the side stand, we're going to measure as before to check our adjustment, lift it all the way up, push the chain down as far as it will go. Fantastic, we're now on 25mm. So with the soft face hammer, we give the tyre a couple of whacks. This is just to make sure that the wheel is seated as far forward as possible, and then we will need to check the alignment. So to check our alignment, we use the calipers to measure from the end of the swing arm to the slider, and it's 33.38mm. We then repeat exactly the same on the other side. If it's not the same, we need to do further adjustments. So finally, we need to tighten up our lock nut. So holding the adjustment lock in place, we turn the locking nut, and then using our 13mm spanner, we tighten it up. Next, we replace the silencer, which is exactly the same process as taking it off, but just in reverse, and obviously the same on the other side. The pillion foot pegs are handed. They have a locator dowel, so make sure you have them the correct way round. After tightening the lock nut, the next thing we need to do is to tighten our axle nut, and we need to tighten this up to 110 Newton meters. Like so. So with the silencers back on and a quick test ride, 20 to 30 minutes is job done. So with your chain of your favourite ride, tight and clean, don't forget to lubricate. I'm Bonnie English. If you enjoyed this video, please like or subscribe.